All these years, you enticed me to follow you. To what? All you've ever shown me is pain, death, destruction. I've seen beauty, family, love. Why did you take it? Why did you take it?
Hello, and welcome to our podcast about the making of a new motion picture entitled The Seraphim. My name is Rob Dickehuth. I am the writer and director of the movie, and our podcast series will be giving you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at our production process. The first element of a film, of course, is the script. Now, The Seraphim is a supernatural thriller, and my challenge as the writer was to build a world grounded in enough of a reality so that you, as the audience, would be inclined to believe the supernatural events that take place. And within that world, I have created a story about how my characters must deal with their reality. The second element of our production is the actors, who will be tasked with bringing the story to life. So we will begin first by exploring the world of the Seraphim. We will talk a bit about the story, leaving out the crucial spoilers, and we will discuss some of the characters represented by the talented cast of actors who have joined us today. And speaking of talent, I would like to go around our virtual table and have each of our cast members introduce themselves and the characters they will be playing in the order of appearance. So Taylor, let's start with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Taylor Stevenson. I'm from Sydney, Australia, now live in LA, and I'm playing Angela Claring.
Great. Emma, how about you?
Hi, I'm Emma Benton. I am from Los Angeles, about the WeHo area, and I will be reading for a teacher.
Great. Marina.
Hi, my name is Marina Phillips. I'm originally from Ukraine, but I live in LA now, and I am playing Crystal Gates.
Great. Zoe.
Hi, my name is Zoe, and I'm playing Melissa and the young woman.
Great. And John.
Hey, I am John Rachapo. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. I'm now based in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm playing Joph.
Very good. And Max.
Hey, I'm Maximilian Schmidt. I'll be playing Gabe Claring and Abe Gatto and also the security guard. Also forgot to mention, I'm from Virginia.
Fantastic. And Laura.
Hi, my name is Laura Rimagum. I'm based in New York City, and I'll be playing the mysterious woman.
Great. Thanks, all. Let's start by talking about the world of the Seraphim that I've built. The Seraphim are the highest order of angels in Christian angelic hierarchy. They are God's messengers, attendants, and guardians. They act as agents of purification, removing sin, and preparing individuals to serve God. With that as an inspiration for my story, along with some concepts drawn from classic literature, I have constructed a world in which angels and demons are ever present, the good balancing out the evil. However, that is only partially what my film The Seraphim is about. In this story, a man who is ignorant of his celestial heritage is beset upon by a demonic beast that torments him, terrorizes him, and tempts him in a way that sets up a final conflict between the forces of heaven and hell. The all too human characters in this story will be challenged with a world in which evil appears to run rampant and is unstoppable, testing the very meaning of free will. So we have a script that builds a world, we have a story within that world, and we have actors to bring it to life. The next step is going to be to test the drama, the characters, and the actors' interpretations. So before we launch into our dramatic script reading, I would like to get some perspective from each of our cast members regarding the characters that they will be playing. Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about your character, Angela Claring?
Yeah, well, so Angela is the mother of our protagonist, and she's the emotional anchor for him, and her impact on him echoes throughout the film. And while she appears to be an attentive mother to her 4-year-old child, Angela is in fact a part of the mysterious hidden world. So we soon begin to understand that her recognition of the evil that is attracted to her son is not just familiar, but expected. And in fact, she has the ability to protect her son through some unspoken authority. And beyond that, we learn that she and her husband, Gabe, have been working on a long-term plan to prepare their son for some unknowable future challenge. So there's just so many mysteries and implications to Angela's actions that we just can't help but, want to know more about her.
So is Angela the Seraphim?
Well, we don't know, maybe, but there's certainly something special about her and Gabe, but what it is exactly is unclear. Maybe someday there'll be, a spin-off movie about her. We'll see.
Yes, that would be worth seeing, absolutely. What drew you to this story, Taylor, when you read it?
So Angela's just, such a strong foundational person. And in fact, all the women in the story are super important. But I also think that the story itself takes such a different approach to the supernatural thriller, with so much emphasis on the characters and the emotionality of their experiences. And I also just think it has a really great ending. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Taylor. Marina, I'm interested. Tell us about the character you will be playing.
Well, Crystal Gates is a longtime girlfriend of our protagonist, and she's a free-spirited girl, pure, innocent, excited about life, and very in tune with the environment. She's sensitive to the position of the sun, the moon, the stars, and the rhythm of the waves. Crystal actually has the ability to tell the time of the day almost to the seconds without a watch, and she is very much in love with her boyfriend.
So what is Crystal's role in the story?
Well, she's the motivator to the protagonist, and she sort of becomes his muse, if you will, and everything he does from the beginning to the end of the film is definitely influenced by her.
So is Crystal a Seraphim?
Well, maybe, but it's clear that her influence, like Joph's mother, will be felt throughout the whole film.
So what drew you to this story, Marina?
I think it's a wonderful story. It's unpredictable, fast-paced, entertaining, heart-wrenching, and has a very great ending. And there are beautiful scenes and horrifying scenes. It's a real roller coaster ride, I would say. And it's a supernatural thriller in the best way. And I cannot wait for everyone to see it.
Thanks, Marina. So, Zoe, since you are playing Crystal's mother, Melissa Gates, what are your thoughts about her?
I think she's a compassionate mother. She's concerned, and she's somebody who isn't afraid to extend her care just beyond her own child. And yeah, I think that generally sort of summarizes how I feel about her. Yeah.
So, We don't see Melissa very long on camera, but her scene is extremely important. How do you think her emotionality plays or influences our main character?
Well, I think, she confirms for Joph that he's sort of alone, which is reassuring in a way. Like, she's willing to see his circumstance. And I think that's an important moment of an adult who is there compassionately and not sort of in denial of what's going on. It's a moment of like being seen by an adult is really important.
Right. I think you're right about that. I think when she confronts our protagonist in a moment of tragedy, I think you're right. I think it really hits home to him that his life has changed. So yeah, she certainly is an influential female character in this story. Having read the script, do you have any particular thoughts about all these women and their roles in the story?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have a lot of characters sort of surrounding Joph who are really influential in terms of the way that he sees the world. All of these women have an impact on the way that he's able to view his relationship to this entity and sort of the dangers that are coming up in his life. Yeah, so I think, without like spoiling anything, I do think that there are a lot of women in this script that are really powerful and important, and certainly not sort of on the back seat, if that makes sense, or in the back seat, I guess I should say. Yeah.
Thanks, Zoe. Now, Laura, talking about important female characters, tell us about the mysterious woman.
Yeah, well, she is an enigma that our protagonist, Joph, will spend much time agonizing over. She presents herself as a kindred spirit, a person who shares a similar life experience, someone that Joph has not encountered in many years. So she represents a sort of lifeline to his sanity, but the evil that pervades their lives inhibits any sort of meaningful connection, unfortunately. So.
Wow, that certainly sounds like a real dating problem. Yeah. Is the mysterious woman a seraphim?
Well, maybe yes and maybe no, but you'll have to see the movie to find out more. She is, after all, mystery.
So what drew you to this story, Laura? What stood out for you?
Yeah, I would say the emotional conflict, the fear, desire, frustration, confusion, regardless of the supernatural circumstances, dealing with these kinds of emotions, I think everyone will relate to. And I like the message of the movie. Sure, there's plenty of action, suspense, even horror, but I think it is, I think it concludes in a very satisfying way. So I found the story very entertaining, and there are plenty of Easter eggs hidden throughout the story, and that interests people in watching it again and again. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Laura. So, Max, in our podcast series, you are doing double duty playing two characters, Gabe Claring, Joph's father, and a somewhat strange character named Abe Gatto, the family's lawyer. Let's start with Gabe. There is a moment when his perspective on what is happening with the family is particularly important. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so, Gabe is kind of this stoic, very grounded father figure, the rock of the family, if you will. He works quietly in the background. We kind of assume maybe he's like a businessman of sorts, but, he will eventually reveal the purpose of his efforts.
I agree. I think that will be interesting to learn. But tell me about the lawyer, Abraham Gatto. What's his deal?
Love Abe. He's such an interesting character to me because he's what you would call kind of like an old soul. He's been around, he's seen these similar events, and he knows more than he lets on. But the reality is, I think that Joph's life will literally pivot when he meets with Abe Gatto. Abe will give Joph this unique tool with something he will navigate through life with. And the tool will truly allow him to, essentially exercise free will. And what Joph does with that tool, I kind of consider pretty unexpected.
Yeah. Thanks, Max. Now, John, a lot has been said about our protagonist. So your turn. Tell us about Joph Claring.
I think the best way to describe Joph is that he's really a tortured soul. For his earliest childhood, he attracts the attention of a demonic entity, but the horrific trauma that the thing causes Joph ruins any sort of normalcy in life that he might have hoped for, and so he spends like most of his life dealing with these mixed emotions. He both hates and fears this entity. And he's alienated himself from society to protect others, but that makes him desperately lonely. And how he copes with all this, not to mention his fear and longing of the mysterious woman, sets up a really sort of dynamic interplay between them.
So is it safe to say that Joph is a seraphim?
That's a good question. Joph only knows, I think, two things. He is sensitive to the presence of the entity, and he learns that he has the ability to combat it. Beyond that, he has no knowledge of anything celestial, but the implication is, he is a seraphim.
So what stood out to you regarding this story, John?
Yeah, I mean, not to sound too pretentious, but I mean, I think what's so great about storytelling in general is that it has the ability to take something very, very global and big and make it something that's deeply personal. And I can't really think of anything bigger and more like global than the like good versus evil, devils versus gods. This script sort of captures that gigantic concept in the lives of these very human people and the families and people that love them and try and support them.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Our time is up for today's episode, so I'd like to thank our actors and you for joining us today. And there's more to come. In the next episode, we will be reading more scenes from Joph's early years and hints about his family's involvement with evil. So please like this video and subscribe to our channel for the latest updates as we talk more about the production of our film, The Seraphim.
Hey, Rob.
Daniel, hi.
That was a very good episode. Let me ask you, what inspired you to write The Seraphim?
Well, that's interesting that you asked that, because a few days ago I had a family member who's also interested in writing film ask me what my writing technique was. And I said that it was fairly chaotic, because when I thought of this story, I really only had two scenes in mind that came up. One was the parking lot scene where our protagonist deals in a really one-on-one combat with an evil entity. And then the second scene was really something that I envisioned for the climax at the end, having to do with the protagonist experiencing profound loss. And then the question was, how did I fill in the gaps? How did I get from the central climax to the final scene and everything in between, and starting with it? And how do I start it? And I knew that I wanted to first and foremost take these ideas and turn it into something highly entertaining. But I also wanted to give it a little extra thought, a little extra development, so that you could go in and watch the movie and have your popcorn and your Coke and watch it and have a great time. But there'd be a little bit more there, a little bit more substance, a little something to think about. So I think anytime you start talking about the whole concept of angels and demons, it opens up a whole Pandora's box of concepts and possibilities. So I wanted to explore that whole concept in a way that nobody had addressed, or at least nobody in any supernatural film that I had ever seen, or even any thematic drama had addressed. And I just went back to a lot of the Judeo-Christian history. And I really started zeroing in on the angel hierarchy and what that meant and what it could mean. And so I was able to build this world that proceeds with the entertainment value. It's fast-paced, it's unpredictable, but I throw in a lot of suggestions, a lot of innuendo, a lot of possibilities, a lot of things to think about. And I think the most important aspect of this story, the way it developed, is the character really became someone whose life mission becomes interrupted, because we see him as a child and as a teenager, and he has a lovely family. He has a very nice home life. He's got a beautiful girlfriend. His future is full of promise. But all of that becomes interrupted. And whatever his life was going to be, it went a different way. And from that sprang all of these scenes, all of these, this journey that this character goes on to discover who he is, to fight against these forces that are beyond his control, and how he resolved it. So it was an interesting journey from that aspect.